Okay, we've had a few more technical difficulties tonight. I apologize for that. It's 7 o'clock, so we will start the general meeting. If everyone would stand, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I think we have some guests tonight, right? No guests? Well, we do have some new members, right? Right, okay. Would you two like to introduce yourselves, please? Both of you are new, right? Okay. Yes. You and your partner sitting there are both new. So if you could tell us just a little bit about yourself, please. You know, we don't want to call you, hey, you all the time. Oh, that's a little ways outside of Florida. Okay. I do that too. I have trouble figuring out what day it is, so I can sympathize with you. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Okay. Well, another group that I belong to has been very active in STEM programs for the last several years, science, technology, engineering, and math. And one of our partners is the Florida International Air Show. And we have been having several STEM activities both here at the Military Heritage Museum, at the public libraries, and also with Western Michigan University when it was here. And so, yeah, we would very much like to talk to you with that group also. That's okay. We've got a lot of rust in our group. Yes. Wow. Certainly a lot better than Ohio. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. See, we always find new neighbors here. Okay, welcome both of you. Okay. Volunteer of the Month is Mark Kreider. Mark joined about a year ago, and he has become very active. He is an instructor. Tonight, he is our presenter. He's also volunteered to be our Zoom czar. What that means is that all these technical issues are on his shoulder. He's going to help us with the technical problems. He's also going to help us with as a meeting moderator to make sure that things flow. So far, I don't know whether you're doing that right.
It's a work in progress.
And he and his wife, Debbie, have been creating a new Facebook page for us. And you can find that at and the name of it is, well, it's Facebook at charlotte.county.computer.group.corp. And it's just starting, so but he's done a wonderful job so far. So I want to congratulate Mark and Debbie for doing a wonderful job with this. So thank you. And I'm going to apologize because we generally will have a certificate and money and that kind of thing to give to you. We don't have that tonight.
Oh,
So
well, that's
we'll get it to you.
I feel like I might get fired as Zoom czar.
No. Yeah, I think you have that classification for life. You stuck your neck out and you got to keep it out. Okay. May statistics. We have so far in the office serviced 85 computers this year so far. This is computer repair. It's providing updates. It's looking at virus and malware and cleaning up computers to make sure that they operate properly. We also have walk-in technical support, and our walk-ins have been averaging about 15 a week. And some weeks it's 10 or 12, and some weeks it's 25. So we kind of took a swag and said, well, it averages out about 15. And so during the summer, I'm sure that'll drop off a bit. But at this point, I think we've been consistently handling at least that many. So 240 walk-ins. And I spent the day with walk-ins today. Refurbished computers. We have completed refurbishing 71 computers that have been donated to us this year. Now, remember, we have all those still in the storage unit. Those were before these numbers. So these are new ones that have been brought in and completed and ready to be delivered. And we've delivered 63 of those. Our membership has stayed pretty steady this month at 354. So I kind of took some of the verbiage out of this because I thought we were getting a little redundant, but we still need help, especially with people going north. In the next couple of weeks, a lot of our members are going to be heading north out of our area, and we won't be able to, we won't have people available for the front desk. So we are in desperate need of people to help us at the front desk. We've had a couple of volunteers that for health issues have had to withdraw when they said they were going to help, and then unfortunately they weren't able to. But I'm sure they're still excited to do it, and when their health comes back, I'm sure they will be in there. In-office technical support. Harold Nixon and Fran Robitelli and I, and also occasionally Rose will help people with technical issues in the office, in addition to the classes that we teach. Computer refurbishing and teardown. This is Lydia, and she has several people that help her in that area, and they do a really good job. And then instructors, presenter, again, Mark has stepped up, and he's going to be our presenter this evening. So if you have a special talent or would like to share your knowledge with others in the group, please contact the office either via email at cccgcoffice@gmail.com, or call us on the telephone, or contact Gary, who is the director in charge of our presentations, to let him know that you have a suggestion for a presentation. Or if you have a suggestion for anything, you can go to the website, and on the drop-down bars, you can click on suggestion box, or what's the other, or favorite of the month. If you have a favorite that you would like us to talk about, click on one of those. Our benefits, well, I'm just going to talk through this one. I'm going to go away from that. I talked about this a little bit in the 6 o'clock hour. We have our desktop computers that include the desktop itself, which typically would have 8 gig of memory. It might have only 4, but typically we try to get as much memory in there as possible. We've been putting 500 gig of hard drive in the units. Sometimes we can do more, sometimes we do a little less. And we got, and the the operating system, we put 10 on those that will take 10. We put 11 on it if it will take it, and you can always back out of that but you can only have 10 days to do that. So you have to be in a pretty big hurry to be able to do that. And we also, if we bring something in that is that we cannot put Windows 10 or 11 on, we will try to convert that to a Chromebook, because Chromebooks don't require a whole lot. I mean, it's browser based and it doesn't require much memory. It doesn't require many system resources, so we can do a lot with that. Okay, the favorites of the month, and I have 2 of them this month because I was running through something and I wanted to create a something. I wanted to remove a background of an image, and then I wanted to skew that image and actually make it into kind of an arc. So the first application that I have here is to remove the background, and I'm going to have to close this down just a little bit and go to here, and I'm going to grab this photo right here. I'm trying to see if I can grab it. Where is it? No, it's not it. Where did it go? Yeah, this one right here. This one's pretty easy. Just pull this in. And you can see that it did a pretty good job of taking out most of the background. It left the person in, but you notice there was black behind him. So somehow it knew where his body was and where that black background was. So it didn't take all the same color out, which is kind of amazing. So let me do something else. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Okay, I'm going to do this again because for some reason. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to download it. Oh, I'm not going to download that yet. I'll cancel that. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to edit this before I download it. So I can go up here to edit. And it's going to allow me to okay, it's not doing it. What I was able to do was I was able to actually mask this and take him completely out and leave just the image that I wanted. So sometimes things don't go the way you plan them to go. And I may have another problem here later, so be patient. Okay. So I'm going to get out of this and out of this. Now the other one that I have is called Photopea. And in the bites, I said it was called Bunny Pick because the way I got to it was I was looking for something to help arc or skew a photograph, and it brought up Bunny Pick. Well, you go to Bunny Pick and it actually brings you to Photopea. So both of these links that I have on here will take us to the same place. So what I started with was an image, and these are hats. They're alligator hats. But you can see the background is pretty busy. You've got this table that's in the way. So when I did a remove background, it got rid of most of it, but I still had some of these crossbars in here that I wasn't able to get rid of. So I took another program and got rid of all of those. And then I skewed it and I made it into an arc. And so when I ended up, I started with this image, created and just got rid of all the background. And then I created this image. And the way that I did that, whoops, I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on this and oops, I don't want to close it. I just want to get rid of it for a minute. Okay, so I want to go to here and to here, and I'm going to take this little image here. And I'm going to pull them in. Okay, and now I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to do a free transform. And now I have this that says warp. I'm going to click on warp. And now I have all these little hooks in the corners. If I take those, I can move them around and watch what happens. And I can make this tail go either direction. So I can really change this image to just about anything I want to. And this is a nice free tool. It's a free tool. It's called Photopea. You can also get it by Bunny Pick and just select free transform, warp, and you can play around with it and do some things. I'm going to play around with it a little bit more. And my next week's class, I'm going to see what other things we can do with it. So thank you very much for that. And now we will go to, come on, keep this. Now, Gary, did you want to do the introductions? I'm going to stop. You want me to stop sharing mine? Or you want to keep it sharing here?
Might as well keep it going and we'll
Okay.
just run it through there.
Gary Skillicorn is my name, and I guess I wanted to mention too what is on the program for next month, so you can be looking forward to it. Wearable technology. I had no idea when I started to look into this, the capabilities. A watch, you know, mine's a $10 Walmart watch, but the capability on some of these, blood pressure, pulse rate, and even for diabetics without any sticking or anything. So that'll be next month, June 7th meeting, provided by Ron Brown, who's an MD with Tech for Seniors. So looking forward to that. And for this month, you've already been introduced to Mark Kreider, but I'm going to give at least a question to you all. The title is NAS Network Attached Storage. Did anybody know what NAS meant? I didn't. Now we know, network attached storage. So that's a high-techy type thing for Mark to explain what it is and how it operates. I'll turn it over to him.
Okay. Well, thank you guys very much. The reason I thought this might be an interesting topic is especially there's a few of us that are snowbirds that go from place to place. And I've been asked a couple of times, well, I've got all my pictures and data are down there. How can I access them from up there? Network attached storage is basically an option that you might consider to do that. And it solves some other really nice problems too, as far as Mary mentioned backing up your data that you have now, your drives and such. You know, it takes some effort and thought, but actually you can set this up to be an automatic system to actually back it up to a storage device that is on your network. So that was my thought process. This is something that you may have heard the term that this may interest you as far as something that's a possibility that you might think about in the future. Oh, is there, get a little closer? Okay. Whoop, there we
Let's
go.
see if this is louder.
Whoops. Let's see, am I a little closer? Probably need a little closer. Whoops. Uh-oh. Yeah, probably need to get a little closer to it. I really missed it. So just a couple of topics for today. Try to be real brief with them. Just to give you an idea, of flavor of what a network attached storage is and how it might be useful. So the first thing is why a network attached storage anyway? Why even think about it? What is a network attached storage device? What it entails? And last but not least, one of the really rich features of network attached storage is something called RAID, which is redundant array of independent disks. And we'll talk that, and I have a little video we'll try to run through here that really explains RAID and why it might be important for your data. And just to talk about what current storage media options are there, first of all, the cloud, I use the cloud as a backup medium. I try to keep a copy of my important data up there. Right now, it's a really a nice tool to use for important data. But one thing you ought to consider is that shouldn't be your only source of backup data. Another one is called direct access storage or direct attached storage. What that includes is your USB flash drives, these little beauties. I think everybody's probably had a whole bunch of these. They're pretty cheap these days. And the other one are your external drives. And these are great for backup and that sort of thing. The USB flash drives are terrific for moving files. And also for backup, you should create a rescue media source. These are great for that. The only problem with these are that you find for, if you're gonna put important information on here, I have a tendency to stick them in my pocket and they end up in the washer. And they really don't like that. So these things, I've lost more of these things than I can imagine. There are dozens of them I've lost. And these are a terrific device. A USB external storage device. They're relatively fast with USB 3.0. It's really great. The only thing is they're a hard drive. And as we all know, if anything's going to fail, what's going to fail? The hard drive. So if you have all your important data just on one of these, you might reconsider or having another option for where you put your data. And last but not least, through it here, the network attached storage, and we're going to talk just a little about that. Just for get on my soapbox for a second here and talk about backups. I think they're really important. I think everybody has some sort of important data, whether it's photos. I have a lot of information that I use for my taxes and that sort of thing. So a rule that you might keep in mind is you should have 3 copies of your data, your important data, your critical data. And 2 of the sets of data should be on 2 different devices. Like I said, one could be a external drive and the other could be the cloud. just a network attached storage device just gives you another option for that. And really, in reality, one of those copies should be offsite somewhere. And that's where the cloud really comes in nice. That's as offsite as you can get. Why would you bother with an NAS? Probably the first thing is file sharing and backups, especially a large amount of data. The cloud is great and it's free actually for small amounts of data. If you can use like Google Drive, but at some point or another, especially if you have a lot of pictures, you're going to exceed your free capability. And then you get into a subscription service that charges you every month that you have that storage above their minimum. So another way to do this is a one-time purchase basically, and then you have a large amount of storage that you always have, and it's actually in the house or wherever you have it in your office. The other thing is this is a network attached device. So not only can you access it anywhere in your house on your network, but you can actually access it through the internet. So if you're someplace else, you know, if you've gone back north for the summer, you can actually access this drive and get your data, your photos or whatever, all the way down there. Another nice feature about this, a NAS, is there's a lot of included software with this. It's not just a backup unit, but there's actually software for photos, audio for all your music files. One of the things I did just before I left New Hampshire, we were getting ready to move and I opened up my cabinets. I must have had 150 CDs stuffed in there. And I was going, oh, what a pain. So guess what I did? I ripped them all into a digital format and they're all on my network attached storage. So let's say if I want to go back and listen to my Christmas music, I actually have it on our network. And if you have a wireless speaker device like a Sonos, you can set up that and it'll play right to it. And it's terrific. And the last part, like I said, as far as backup goes or data storage goes, NAS have what is called RAID, which is redundant array of independent or inexpensive disk. In the old days, it was inexpensive disk. And part of that is fault tolerance. And we'll get into fault tolerance here in just a little bit. Just another little thing about network attached storage. They're storage devices that are attached to the network. That's pretty obvious. And what makes them a little different is that they're configured for access by you define what a username for it is to log into it and a password. So it's secure. So from the outside, if somebody wants to access this, they have to have a username and password. Just to give you an idea what they look like, this one on the top left, the black one, is a 2-bay device. There's 2 separate disk drives in there. The one in the middle is a 4-bay device. And the one on the right is a rack-based device. And the only thing is you know, you're just adding more storage capability as you go. Plus, when we talk about RAID, it'll be a little more explanatory then that particular RAID configurations apply to a 2-bay or a 3-bay or more device. What is actually in a network attached device? So one of those boxes actually is a specialized computer. It's got a CPU, just like a regular computer. It's got RAM, an Ethernet card to talk to the network, and a disk controller. In this case, it's a RAID controller, and the storage medium. And these typically are just regular hard disks. Well, hard disks that are actually designed for network attached storage devices because they run 24/7. We go back and like I said, RAID is a feature of the NAS that is a really nice, rich feature of it. And it's a way of storing on multiple disks or solid state drives to protect the data just in case one of the disks fails. And what that's called is fault tolerance. You can have a failure and you don't lose any data. So I got a little video here. I'm going to try to run. Will it come up there? Uh-oh. Delays here. Whoop. Let's see if I get it through this here. Whoops.
You don't want to stop sharing.
No.
Yeah, let me do it.
Oh, okay. So what RAID is in an NAS, you're going to have multiple disks, and let's say if you copy a file to it. Oh, here we go. So
You may want to talk to this.
yeah, I'll talk. Usually there's a nice voiceover that goes with this. You guys are going to have to deal with me. So, so inside of a RAID, inside of a NAS, you're going to have multiple drives, typically 2 or more. And so there's different RAID standards. A typical home NAS system will have 2 disk drives in it. Okay. So this is how you protect your data in a network attached storage system. When you write to it with multiple disks, there's a couple different standards. One's called RAID 0, which is like not RAID at all, because on the 2 drives, it just splits up the data between the 2. So if you have one of the disks fail, then you lose your data. So RAID 0 isn't something that is typically used. The second one is RAID 1, and RAID 1 is a 2-disk system, and the data is actually duplicated between the 2. So if you have a disk failure, let's say if somebody hit it with a hammer, then the other disk still has all the data, so you haven't lost anything. After that, the next RAID standard is RAID 5, and you have to have at least 3 disks to run a RAID 5 system. And in RAID 5, what it is you're just adding more disks, and the data is being split among those disks. And one of the disks is actually used as what's called a parity disk, such that if any one of the single disks fail, you can replace that disk and rebuild the whole system, and you haven't lost a single bit of data. So it really protects you against a disk failure. And there is one more that's a non-standard, but it's something that Synology, which is a maker of network attached storage system, they have a fluid RAID system, which allows you to add more disks of larger size, and it'll automatically fill those in and still protect you. Just as a non-standard system. That's okay, Barry. I'll move on to the next. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry, we'll go through this. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. So those are the different RAID standards, and basically for home system, typically you would be talking about a 2-bay system. There we go. There's one other called RAID 10, and it's just a combination of RAID 0 and 1. And it's not very much used. So for most home systems, it'd probably be a RAID 1 or a RAID 5. It'd be a RAID 1 system for 2 drives. It would be a RAID 5 for anything above that. So this would be the video here is just talking about the RAID 0. As you can see, it's writing the data to 2 disks, but it's splitting it up between the 2 disks. But this isn't fault tolerant. So if something happens to one of these disks, your data is lost. So RAID 0 isn't something you would typically use for a network attached storage system. That just shows you if you hit it with a hammer, not a good thing. The only advantage of a RAID 0 system is it's very fast, but not worth the effort because it's not fault tolerant. RAID 1, this is the one I was talking to, is typically a 2-disk system. And as you can see, it writes the same data between the 2 drives. So if something happened to one of the disks, such that something like if you blasted it with a laser beam, you still have all your data on the other disk. So all you have to do is pull the old disk out, put a new one in, and you're back up to 100%. And this is the RAID 5 showing you that you have to have at least 3. And this is just showing a typical 5 or a 4 disk system. And it just writes that data across those disks, and a parity is actually added to each one of the writes. The parity? Well, it's just a method of storing the data that, let's say one of the disks fails. What happens is when you replace it, it rebuilds the system based on that parity data. But again, it protects you against single disk failure. Oh, is it moving along? Yeah, the downside to that is even in a 4-disk system, one of the disks, the whole disk has got to be used for the parity data. So out of a 4-disk system, you lose the storage capability of one of the disks. And then RAID 10 is just a combination of RAID 1 and 0. As you can see, on the left-hand side, the disk data on that side is exactly the same, and on the one on the right is exactly the same. It speeds it up, it makes it a much faster RAID system. The only problem here is you lose half of your storage. So if each one of these disks was 1 terabyte a piece, instead of having 4 terabytes of the storage, you only have 2. Right. So it's like having two sets of copy across there, across the 4 discs. Like I said, the one they don't show you here is like each manufacturer has their own implementation of RAID. The Synology calls theirs it's a hybrid system, and it's a little more flexible in the fact that you can add a larger disk and it treats it a little bit better. But it's basically another RAID system. Okay. And what I'd like to see if I can do is show a little bit of remote access here. Oh, not sure I can. If I stop sharing your screen, that's probably not going to work, is it?
I'll stop sharing here. You can share yours.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll try that.
One thing that's really good about a network attached storage is in addition to being a more secure system and redundant, because you're making redundant backups, is it gives you the opportunity to share information across the entire network. As Mark was saying, if you are traveling and you want to access your music or movie or something that you have stored on that network attached storage, as long as you can get access to that network, you can bring up that particular file. So it might be a video, it could be music, it could be a document. Maybe you're like you have a closing on a house or something, and you want to share the document among several people. You can do that. It's a way of sharing something without having to actually email it to somebody or whatever. It's very good if you have like a media system in your home and you want to have all of your media stored in one location, but you want to be able to view it on multiple TVs or on multiple audio devices. Everyone who has access to that network can pull up the information.
Yeah. So basically, this is what I'm doing right now. Is I've actually attached to my network attached storage at my home, and as you can see, you just sign in with a username and of course your own password, and hopefully it'll show you basically what it kind of looks like. So you come up with a page, and depending on which different software packages you want, let's say you want to bring up photos. These are all software that's included with the network attached storage system that you buy. So that's just an example. Let's say if you were up where, at someplace else you want to look at particular photos, you just call it right up, you can attach to it. And it actually does a really nice job of sorting things by year if you want. That's actually my nephew's. Another thing it does as far as albums and pictures go, it does have an AI system that'll go through and identify all your photos as far as pictures go and tries to group them together under different people. So let's say if I wanted to see all the pictures of my wife that we took, and you just select it up and it
Nice Christmas tree.
goes through there. Yeah, that was just Christmas.
I think that's not in Florida.
Yeah, that actually is in Florida.
Well, I mean the one that says Christmas Town. Where is
Oh,
that?
that's Busch Gardens.
Oh, it is Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it just gives you an idea that you can remotely attach to it and show photos and that sort of thing. So I guess the idea I thought I'd try to impart was that there are other storage options. Network attached storage, I think, is something you might want to consider, especially if you have a lot of videos, a lot of music, or a lot of photographs. In the long run, it's probably cheaper to have a network attached storage than it is to try to store it in the cloud. It also gives you another,
A lot faster too.
yeah, a lot faster. It also gives you another option as far as where you save your backup data to. Like I said, once you have your network attached storage system set up, and you, let's say you take Macrom Reflect, you can put it in scheduler, and you don't even have to think about it anymore. It automatically backs up to your network attached storage. So if you do have a disaster, you automatically have a backup that's already available right there.
And you can schedule that so that it happens immediately, or that it happens on a schedule. So you could have it like do it daily, weekly, monthly, or you can say every time I have a keystroke, or that's kind of going overboard, but every time that I save this document, I want to have a new backup for it.
They're really important these days, especially with ransomware attacks. If you do end up with a ransomware attack, then you do have something else that's, you know, that you've saved, and you probably have multiple copies of it that are pretty recent that you can go right back to and recover pretty well, pretty easily from that.
If I went to Best Buy, can I find one of these?
You actually can. Best Buy probably has several dual NAS systems. Cost. Yeah, that's the downside of a NAS system, is because it is disk drive and it is a small computer. Basically, if you're talking a 2-disk system, it's around $300, and usually buy the NAS with no drives in it. So you define how much storage you really need to put in there. Right now, if you go on, let's say Amazon, if you want a 4 terabyte NAS drive, it's about $85 a piece. So for about 2 drives and a 2-bay NAS, so it is right around $500. If you go to a larger bay system, let's say 4, the cost goes up quite a bit more. They're $500 and up from there. Plus, then you have more disks that you're going to be stuffing in there. But for a home system, a 2-disk NAS is definitely a worthwhile proposition, I think, if you have a lot of data. Any questions I can answer about that? Sure, Donna. Yeah, actually, I wish I would have brought one with me. The one that the 2-bay, the black 2-bay one and the 4-bay one, they're relatively small. They're about half the size of a laptop. Yeah, so, and they're not much, actually, physically, they're not a whole lot bigger than the disk drives themselves. So they're very compact units. Like I said, once you set it up, you run it, it'll go, you know, it doesn't actually run the disk 24/7. They go into hibernation mode. So they spin the disk down, and the only time they ever spin the disk up is when there's an access request to the disk. Then it'll bring the system back up again. Then after the activity stops, then it'll shut itself pretty much back down again. Any other questions about? Sure, Donna. Actually, I think they're pretty well. They probably handle it pretty well, because they're not really being accessed all the time, so they're not generating a whole lot of heat. They're pretty much, you know, just in standby for the most part. So they would do pretty well. The only thing about, you know, with the power surges, that sort of stuff, I'd be a little concerned there. And you can set them up, and you got to probably, if you're going to be gone and you want to access it remotely, that's something you can set up in there to have it automatically restart on a loss of power. Or you can have it shut down and stay shut down. And also, just as an aside, if you want to shut it down remotely, you can do that too. So if you're off and you decide you want to turn your NAS off, you could log into it and then turn it off.
You also might want to have it attached to an automatic power system so that it softly closes. It closes things down within a 30-minute period or
Yeah,
something
a nice
before.
ups would be good.
Yeah, universal power supply.
Yes. Ah, that's my
Now
last
the meat
slide.
of the problem.
Actually, they're not all that difficult. I was actually considering doing a class on setting up a NAS and basic how to get it operating. It doesn't take that long. The actual operating system of a NAS is vendor specific. So if you, like I said, I like Synology. I've been using it for almost 20 years. It probably takes maybe a half hour to set the thing up. And it steps you through the process of creating your own username as the admin and password. And then you create what is called a storage pool. And in that storage pool, you define the rights if you want to have other people with other usernames, what parts of the disk they can see and what they can't see. But just to set it up and get it running, probably a half hour. It's not that difficult. And once you have the concept down as far as, what it does, like I said, it's just a small computer. I don't think it's, that difficult to do once you get it set up. Probably the hardest part is, it does have its own applications, like the photo apps. It's going in there learning how that photo app works. Or that has I wish I had the music because I was going to show you some or play some of the music that I cranked up. Top Gun is coming out here, so I was going to play Top Gun. But anyway, it's just, how those programs work. So it's a little bit of a learning curve on those programs.
Fran, you had a question or comment?
Sure. Give me a call.
Just not when you're north.
Well, you can still call.
You pay for his transportation. Yeah, he'll come.
Oh, I'm not going to.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Okay. Let's go on to our next thing here then. So you want to disconnect and I'll share mine? Okay, we do not have the gift cards with us tonight unless Grover brought some. Okay, we don't have them with us, but what we've been doing is we have a gift card for every 10 people that show up. So we have about 20 people. So we're going to draw twice and we will make sure to get that card to you some way. So, and what I also want to do is those people who win, if you wait until after at the end of the meeting, we will come on down then and we'll take photographs of the winners at that point. That'll help things flow just a little better. Okay, so. Okay, I guess I have to put my glasses on so I can actually see. Okay, last three digits, 075. Okay, 075. And just sit down a minute and we'll get you later. And Gary, you want to pick the next one? Okay. Oh, okay, now this isn't right. 074. Is that you? That's me. That's you. Okay. Come on down later. So 075 and 074. That sounds rigged to me. Okay, 50-50. Well, we didn't have a lot of sales tonight on the 50-50. So we only have $8. But $8 is better than 0. Charlie, you want to pick horse? Only one. Okay. Oops. Pick 2. So. Then don't complain that I put yours back. Okay. 972. Okay, this one is rigged. Okay, well, you have 2 winners then. You have 2. Okay, and the computer drawing. Okay, did you put money into this one too? Okay, you're going to draw for this then. Okay. Oh, I can't tell what that is. It's 41 something, but I can't tell what that last digit is. It's a 3, a 5, or an 8. Let's see. See what the other numbers are. Okay, it's a 3. 413. Okay, so this row is pretty. Okay, so we have a winner for the computer also. So when we're finished, please come down and we'll take your photo. And those people who have gift cards, we promised to get them to you. Unfortunately, we didn't bring them tonight. I couldn't find them, so I don't know where they are. I want to let you know that I don't know if we have any gamers here in the audience. We had a donation of a game controller, and I know most people here work with documents and photos and things like that, and music maybe, but not so much games. But if you are a gamer or you have a someone in your family is a gamer, we have a game controller and it's yours if you wish it. Just come on down and grab it. I'll put it up here too. And I think that's probably the end of it. So before we leave, do we have any questions? If you bought a lottery ticket, would you please share it with me? I could really use it. Yeah, I would definitely like to use that. Or maybe just do a genie thing and rub my hand and yeah, and send a prayer for me and I'll share it with you. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Our next meeting is June the 7th. So now she's clapping because she won.